At this time, my father was in prison my entire life. So pretty much just raised by a single mom, turned to the streets for guidance. Started at an early age. My name is Nathan Carpenter, and I'm from El Cajon, California. My upbringing is I was born at Mercy Hospital. I was raised by a single mother out of Rancho San Diego. My brother Michael, Matthew, my sister, Naomi, she actually moved out to LA, became a nurse. My brother and Michael stayed here in San Diego. I have a really good relationship with them to this day. My brother Matthew, unfortunately, passed away this year. Yeah, so my relationship with them was really good though. My mom worked for North County Federal Credit Union for about 35 years. We ended up losing our house in Rancho San Diego and moved to El Cajon when I was about 7 or 8 years old. At this time, my father was in prison my entire life. So pretty much just raised by a single mom, turned to the streets for guidance. Started at an early age. No, I never knew my father. He got out of prison when I was about 14, 15 years old. Tried to come home, do the father thing. Didn't really work out. He's more violence rather than, talk to you. He lived with us for about a year. And then after that, my mom had kicked him out. So I really never had no father figure. It was always just turn to the streets. Yeah, so my biggest goals and biggest dreams were to become a professional skateboarder. I skateboarded for like 9, 10 years. And I just always that was something I always dreamed of. I always wanted to be a professional skateboarder. So as I could continue skating throughout the years. I started getting good and good, started eventually making my own videos. And I remember we were at City College and it was like go big or go home. Everybody up in front of me is like going, boom, kickflip a 12 stair. And I did it 3 times in a row, landed it. And we wanted to get a better shot on the video. And I did it again. And I landed bolts and just ravished my ankle, like twisted it up real bad. Like my ankle was like a baseball. Yeah, so with the pain and like kind of losing that potential, losing that motivation, I just like turned to that crowd, like all the skaters that, not the ones that ultimately were pursuing that dream as a career, but like we're getting loaded in between, It's like smoking weed, taking pills, doing meth. I would do all that stuff and continue skating to just kind of cope with the pain. And slowly but surely it was just like falling off. Eventually just lost my desire to skateboard. In the beginning it was like ditch school every day, go eat bowls of cereal, watch skateboard videos, and go out and skate and film all day, to like now I'm ditching school and I'm just doing drugs all day. Just kind of had a lot of hate going on, doing drugs. Just kind of at this point, put the skateboard down, pedal to the metal, hanging out in the hood. And I had a best friend, his name was Matthew Kelly. And he ended up getting killed at Villa Serena Motel, right there in El Cajon, off El Cajon Boulevard, like right before the Hells Angels bar. And he ended up getting shot dead at 24 years old in the chest with a .22. After that happened, I kind of lost a sense of like what I was doing, who I was, where my life was going. The drugs became more intense. I was using more. My respect for human life and just down the drain. I had no respect for human life. I'd say I give it about 2-3 months after he was killed. I caught my first prison term. Yeah, so my first offense was possession of stolen vehicle. Before that, I had like little priors, petty thefts, burglaries or whatever. So they, instead of like probation, time served, they broke me off. I did my 16.5, got out, went straight back to it. Like, didn't waste no time. Probably was like smoking meth the same night, right back to checking cars. Like, that was my thing. Just like, I took my stolen cars to high school. Like, it's just where I went with my drug addiction. Methamphetamine's a very powerful drug, and what it would do for me is it would take away any emotions, like anything I was feeling, or how do you say, having sympathy or anything like that. Like I was at war. I was at war with property, with people. I just went, like, started hanging out with the people that were like out there coming up. Like, are you out there getting it? Like money, cars, like who do you know? Where can we take these cars? And eventually, like, it led me to a very well-known gang, a big gang. That was just my get down. I just go out, I go get it and bring it to the people that were gonna flip it and make me money and bring me money. And it was always, I never wanted drugs, I just wanted money. So, the thing with methamphetamine is it makes you feel like you have control of everything. Like, especially when you're driving in a stolen car, you feel like you have control, like you know who's a cop, or if a cop's behind you, you always feel like you have control of everything, and you don't. And I'd always get caught slipping at the moments that, like, I felt like I had the most control. And I remember getting caught up at a hotel in El Cajon again, and like, it was just dumb, really. Like, I had stole a construction truck, and I just remember, like, waking up, going out into the parking lot, starting this construction truck, like, to pull out, and I just get, jammed by like 30 El Cajon police. This time they broke me off with 2 years with half. No tail, no probation, just 2 years with half for possession of a stolen vehicle. After I did the 2 years with the half, I got out. I went to Imperial Beach with some people that I knew, and I'm at this house, and these people kick in the door, and they come in, they like guns drawn, they take everything that's in the house, and they ask me, do you have a weapon on you? And I was like, I don't have a weapon on me, but I had a big Milwaukee knife. So they ended up, like, searching me, and they found my knife, and they're like, hey, like, you lied to us. So, like, they took everything I had, the cell phone my mom bought me, my backpack, everything I had. So I go right back out to it, like, hit the streets of Imperial Beach, start hitting cars, boom, 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 boom. I hit this military dude's car, like, he was in the Navy or in the Marines or something. Keys, bulletproof vests, like, a gang of cash, like, he had all these collectible coins. I get it, I take it back to El Cajon, I get caught with it like 3 weeks later. At this point, the judge, I see the same judge, right? He's like, seriously? He's like, we're breaking your ass off. He broke me off. Like, they gave me the high on a stolen car. It carries 16, 2, and 3. But if you have prison priors for it, they start adding on a year for each prison prior. So it went from 16, 2, and 3. They gave me the high plus an added year. So they gave me 4 years. Yeah, like, when you're locked up, you're like, okay, like, your mind's telling you, like, oh, it's going to be different this time. I'm going to change, I'm going to change, I'm going to change. But that's how baffling and cunning alcoholism and the disease is. It's like, as soon as you take that first hit or that first drink, all that, like, re-strategizing, all that, like, change that you were planning on, it just kind of goes out the window. For me, it does. So I got out after doing that 4-year split. I ended up at a place called CTC down in Old Town, Community Transition Center. It's where everybody out of state prison, federal prison, they're all flowing right there, and then they transition into programs and stuff. They sent me to a place called New Connections down in National City. It's kind of a setup because they have all these people coming off, split sentence, local prison terms, and they mix you in with all these girls that are doing like 15 days in detox. So I ended up going there, getting caught for fraternizing. So then I ended up leaving, and my probation officer told me, if you test clean right now, I'll take you back to CTC and we'll get you a new program. I ended up testing clean. I went back to CTC, and then they ended up sending me to Casa Rafael here in Vista. And at the time, it was a long-term program, meaning like 12 to 15 months. I ended up going there, staying clean, working the program, got a sponsor, and that's when I met the mother of my children right now, Angela. She was at a place called Family Recovery Center. She was leaving an abusive husband. She came out here with her daughter to get clean, get her life together, and that's how I met my girl. So being shot out to like a completely different county, North County, it kind of, it like diminished the desire and the motivation to like, reach back out to the people I typically go back to, or go back to the things that I was doing. I kind of just was in compliance. I just went with the flow. I wanted to get probation off my back. So I went through Casa Rafael. I graduated the program. After 13 months, I got a plaque. After that, I continued like into sober living, another 6 months. And at this point, me and my girl have been together about a year. And that's ultimately what changed me from going pedal to the metal back to what I was doing, was my daughter today, my stepdaughter, Savannah. Meeting her at an early age, at 6 years old, you know, coming fresh out of jail after doing 28 months, and kind of, I had never really had kids in my life like that. And meeting Angela and going on dates and going to the park and playing with her and doing those kinds of, something I've never done in my life, kind of redirected where my mind was at as far as like having remorse and my behavior and how I'm living, you know. I'm not gonna say 100%, you know, because I wish it would, I could say it ended there. It didn't end there, but it pumped my brakes for a while. Like after I graduated that program, went through sober living, I moved in with my girl, we moved in, we're both working, we continue to stay clean. I ended up going to a place called Lanada Bay Concrete. I was a casting room lead supervisor there, and it was a research and development company. If I want to keep what I have, if I want to continue this relationship with Angela, if I want to continue to be in Savannah's life, you know, kind of looking from the outside in, seeing the situation of how she fled Texas, how Savannah's growing up without a dad, you know, how me and her created a relationship and a bonding of a father-daughter kind of thing. It had gave me a sense of, you know, purpose. It just gave me a road, a way to live, really. And so it's something I could say that kept me out of trouble for 3 years. After those 3 years, kind of lost touch with my sponsor, stopped going to meetings, I got this attitude. Going to work every day, coming home, taking care of the kid, taking care of my girl, kind of is gonna cut it attitude. So I ended up going to work. They ended up hiring this new, you know, CNC machine operator where we work at. I remember he came in and he's like, he was slinging drugs to our employees, you know? And with like no thought or nothing, I just grab it and I start smoking it, you know, and I smoke it. And you know, being 3 years clean, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Floating, just mind's racing, I'm dizzy. But the one thing I do remember clearly is I remember showing back up at home. And I couldn't go in the house for a second, and then I go in, and I see Savannah, Daddy, come running to me, like. So I tried to rush outside, and like, I rushed to the shower, and like, I just remember that guilt, like, because my girl is still clean at this point. And I had never like looked at Savannah drunk or high or ever been in contact with her under the influence of anything. And I just remember like running to the shower, taking a shower, and that guilt just like I was scared to come out of that shower like and just look at her and like show face, you know. You know, meeting Angela and Savannah, it kind of gave me a sense of a self-awareness that like I was being really a bad person, like a real piece of shit. But yeah, just slowly for surely, it was like kind of scared me a little bit. Didn't really like, okay, hey, let's smoke another joint kind of attitude. I let a couple weeks go by, but it eventually unfolded into an all-out relapse, you know. Started off with the weed, right back to meth. As soon as I take the hit of that meth, it's a wrap. My supervisor, Justin, he's in recovery, he's 7 years. I remember like, started doing meth, right? And I like come to work, hide it real well, do it in the bathroom. I remember it like hit me tough one morning, like I'm driving to work and everything just starts spinning, dude. And I like swerve off the side of the road and I like fall out on these people's like like this house, like these people's lawn, just throwing up. Like the people come out, like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Like, I just like swerve back into the car, like. So I called Justin. I'm telling him like, hey, I don't think I'm gonna make it in today. So I come back in the next day, and I pull Justin to the side, dude, and I'm like, hey, I don't know if you noticed, dude, but like I'm hurting, bro. Like I'm suffering again. Like I'm using, dude. And so he's like, all right, look, bro. He's like, this is what we're gonna do. Like, he's like, I love you, dude. He's like, but I can't have you around all this machinery. Like, I'm gonna have you take a week or two off. Like, we're gonna give you, the first week paid. He's like, you're gonna call me every day. You know what I mean? I want you to call your sponsor. I want you to go to meetings. Call me every day. If you don't call me every day, then I know something's up. And I didn't call him. And I remember trying to show back up to work, like after the 2 weeks he gave me. And then like him and Rory and the president of the company, like they're all aware. They hire straight out of Casa Rafael. They came out into the parking lot. I was just like, hey, we're letting you go. Like, until you go back into treatment, you know what I mean? Like, we got nothing to say to you. So I had a huge resentment. Like, I was hella hurt. Like, Justin was somebody I looked up to. Like, he was somebody that we went to aftercare for like 20 months together. He was just like a go-to, like a mentor. And like, at the time I didn't understand it. I understand it now, but at the time I didn't understand it. I felt like damn, you guys just turned your back on me, like straight kicked me to the curb, like I came to you, like I told you I was suffering and I was hurting, dude, and you just fire me and cut me off. And I don't know, I sat there, I just stopped going to work, sitting in my house, self-pity, like. So yeah, basically my mindset was like, hey, rent's due. You know what I mean? Gotta pay my cell phone bill. Gotta pay the car insurance. I have no gas. I just go back to know what I know. Cars and hustle, And I get a knock at this door and I see the gun, right? I see the gun. It's an Oceanside detective, and they're fishing, they can't, because the cars are in the parking lot, they can't pinpoint the exact location of these laptops. So I just see all these detectives at different doors knocking, and I'm like, hey, like, and I try and poke my head out, can I help you, sir? And then like, I guess he had seen my weapon, and when he saw my weapon, he knew right away, and he like forced his way in the door, kicked it in, like got me into the ground, like, and then all the detectives come swarming in, and then they're trying to get me to snitch on myself, they're interrogating me. They started scaring me, like, they pulled my girl in, like, we're about to take you to jail, like, you're facilitating this. Did you know that he was gone all night, all this stuff? And so then they started, becoming evil, like, hey, okay, we're gonna go to the Savannah school and take her and put her in the foster care. So as soon as they started getting grimy like that, that's when I stopped playing stupid and was like, okay, all right. Like, leave them out of it. It was me. You got me. I went to that place. I got those laptops. I have an addiction problem. You know what I mean? Here's what's going on. Leave them out of it. And they kept their word. They left them out of it. And they took me. And yeah, another prison term. Broke off. Long story short, I ended up getting rebooked after I signed the deal. I ended up signing a deal for 6. I got to 6 years. I did like 30 months on the 6 years and a treatment program. I'm locked up. It actually had cracked off at George Bailey, like a huge ass riot happened. So we were all on lockdown. And I remember like, being in my cell and the cop sliding an email under my door. And I read it and it's like, hey, Madeline was born today. So I missed it. And so they let me out. It was cool. I at least got to call my girl while she was still in the hospital. I missed it all. And the first 9 months of her life, I was locked up. This is like right around when COVID hit. They actually kicked me out early. They kicked me out like 2-3 months early. Let me go to work furlough for like a month. And I just remember my family, Savannah, Angela, and my newborn baby, Madeline Carpenter, meeting me there, and I get to meet my daughter for the first time at a work furlough. It's like technically you're still in custody, you can't leave. Meet them, come home, and at this point we were in the middle of moving from one apartment to another. So I'm like, great. I'm like, fresh apartment, fresh start, like new baby, like now everybody I've known and met out here in North County, like just cut ties, like get it together, get a job going, move to the new apartments and meet some new person, neighbor, like has weed, has drugs, like, and it wasn't right away, but it was like, you smell it, you come out of your apartment, kind of, hey, what's up, like, and just started getting high again, like, couldn't stop fucking getting high, over and over and over. Long story short, like, just continued to get high again. It led to meth. At this point, anytime I started to get high again, me and Angela would fight really bad. So it led to us fighting really bad to the point where like now the cops are coming. And the cops came like probably about 1,000 times to that apartment. Yeah, so at this point now, like, Angela's pregnant again with my son Matthew. Yeah, I have a lot of kids. It wasn't until they brought in a new social worker. This is what completely altered the route and change of where I'm at right now. His name was Antonio, and like he was by the book. I ain't playing no games. Like, you're either gonna get clean or we're gonna take these kids. And at this point, we're like being evicted. Like losing everything. Like Angela's like already signed up to go to long-term residential treatment again. And my social worker Antonio comes and he's like, hey, you're the fucking problem. I want you out of this house. I don't want you anywhere near Angela or the kid. Like, and then like he eventually came. They came in because the kids, we put them with Angela's sister at this point, and they're like, no, we're coming. We're taking the kids. They're gonna be in our custody. And I remember my social worker Antonio calling me. He's like, if you're not in this residential treatment by this date, your parental rights will automatically be terminated. You won't need to show up to court. You won't need to sign anything. It's a done deal. And I was just like, just sitting there like in self-pity, continue getting high. Like the day comes, like thank God treatments take you in loaded, because I was loaded as a kite. Like I remember being there 30, 60 days, like, and I remember meeting my sponsor, It was like, you gotta get a sponsor. You gotta work these steps, And I remember meeting Phil, Phil Bradbury. He's one of the members at Robbers Roost. Robbers Roost is one of the strongest men's meeting here in North County. It goes way back all the way to Kip Collins. He's like, all right, check this out. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna listen to these speaker tapes, and then you're gonna tell me what you think about them. And I remember all 3 of these speaker tapes by heart to this day. I listen to them every day on my way to work. This is Jack G from Huntington Beach, Kip Collins, and Earl H. And they're just powerful, motivational speakers. Like, it's not just about recovery. They go deep into detail about spiritual growth, And it just changed me. And I was like, I called my sponsor and I'm like, wow, how do these people talk like that? Where do they have this wisdom from? How do they speak like that? Like, and he's like, pick up the book, start reading. And I picked that book up and like all the rigidity had fallen away. It was like, I knew exactly what I was reading and I understood it. And now I could sit there and I could collaborate on it, deliberate about it, like fathom on it and ask questions. And I got more and more and deeper into it, And my compliance turns from compliance to surrender. There's a huge difference between following orders and following heart. And that's exactly what happened to me after I listened to those speaker tapes and I started reading that book. It told me there is no compliance of like, how do I be a dad? How do I want to do this life. I could do what you tell me to do all day long, but that's not going to work. I need to want it right here. I need to have it. I need to follow heart. And that's what happened. I started following my heart. I started taking my recovery seriously. I started being of service, having a commitment, coming up on 3 years again. You know, I have a home group. I've been through the 12 steps. I now help the next person who's suffering, you know. There's something in the beginning of the AA book. It says when Bill's talking and he has a friend, he comes over to his house, he's talking to him, he tries to push him to drink. And then he's like, Bill doesn't accept it. And the guy's like, what's going on with you? Have you found religion? What is it? And he tells him no. He says, I believe I've stepped into the 4th dimension. I'm to know happiness, peace, and usefulness. And that's just something that, like, I found that finally. I found happiness, peace, and usefulness to the next human being, you know. And every time I go to a meeting, every time I talk, every time I share my story, I'm able to help that newcomer, that person that's struggling like I was, back and forth, going in and out of meetings, and just couldn't get clean for that long. And, yeah. I believe in this world, nothing happens by mistake that God doesn't allow to. And it's what needed to happen in order for me to become the family man that I'm doing right now. You know, it's scary, dude. Like, being this early in recovery, only barely having 3 years and raising 4 kids, 3 of them are in diapers. You know what I mean? Like, it's scary, but like, I all of it, I give it to my higher power. I give it to him. Anything that I can't carry the weight of, I give that to him. You know, and it's proof. He's living proof. It's there. He's there. Like, all that worry, all that guilt, all that shame, all that fear is gone. He's taken it all. Because if he didn't take it all, I'd be getting loaded right now and we wouldn't be doing this interview. You know, my sponsor always asks me, anytime we meet up or we go through, do some step work or we talk or he goes, how free do you want to be? There's no limit to it, right? How honest of a person are you? How helpful of a person are you? How do you treat, you know, the freedom is at infinitum. It just keeps going and going as far as like the behaviors you want to portray of who you want to become in recovery. And that's something that I strive for. I want more and more of that freedom. The way that I've been stopping the cycle is, you know, the phrase that they use in AA. To keep what we have, right? And what we have is what we were talking about, that freedom. You have to give it away. You have to share it with the next human being. It's like that movie Pay It Forward. You have to pass it on and you'll get to keep what you have, right? Whether it's, you know, helping somebody out with a ride to work, walking them through the 12 steps, taking them to a meeting, buying their kid diapers, they can't afford it, showing them where resources are. You know, I've been able to do that here where I work at. You know, I brought the Fresh Start program here, like able to get a hold of the attorney. She agreed, she came here, she did a whole presentation on how you can expunge your entire criminal record. I felt really proud to bring her here and have a class on it and have everybody interested in it and filling out the application. It felt really good to set that up and be a part of, knowing I'm doing some good, that like, hey, we could start erasing your past and it doesn't define who you are, that you could get a job wherever. You know, this is no longer going to be on your record. Future Stitch has helped me do that. I came here with eagerness, like just motivation. Like, I love manufacturing. I love to see something from the start and then made, you know, and see the outcome of that. That feels good too. And I just excelled. I learned all the in and outs here and they promoted me. Like, now I'm the supervisor of everybody on the floor, you know. It's something that, you know, I want to pass down people being able to see that true potential in themselves down, you know? I'm at Solutions for Change right now, right? And the main question they ask, right? What if the solution to justice impacted people were the justice impacted individuals themselves? Now, what do I mean by that? What if that justice impacted person got out of jail and all he needed to change his entire life around and never go back was someone just grant him a little bit of trust? Hey, here's the keys to the building. Can you lock up? Just small things like that, I feel like we can stop the cycle. But the next person just has to be willing to give it away, help out, see the solution. Yeah, being out in my addiction was not scary at all. It was like, just, all right, like, I'm used to this. But like, okay, hey, taking care of 4 kids, way behind in life. How do I do this? Where do I start? All that, it was like, it's very scary to put that first foot down and just do it and go through with it. And I did that, you know, I did that, but not without the help of like Alcoholics Anonymous and my sponsor and the people that I go to for mentorship, even the people here, Esteban, Sarah. I constantly, like, my brother's death, you know, 5 months ago, I walked through that sober, you know what I mean? I walked through that sober and I reached out to people. I talked to Esteban, I talked to Sarah, I talked to my sponsor, my support group. I talked my way through it, and it's scary, but it gets less and less scary as everything starts to fall in place, right? My biggest amends was I caused my family to go homeless. I separated my family, foster care, girls in treatment, apartment's gone, I'm over here. My biggest amends I wanted to make was fix that. That was like the main motivator. When I got clean, I was like, and it's the scariest motivator too, if I could fix that, that's the biggest high you could possibly ask for in life. I got my family reunited. We're all together as Solutions for Change. You know, I'm signing a lease on a new apartment November 27th on Monday. I'm moving my family into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Mine. Signing the lease, you know, like buying them all new furniture. I'm going to buy Savannah a new loft, a school desk. All these things would not be possible unless all the things I went through, you know what I mean? I had to go through those trials. I had to, or else I would have never been able to see it. I would have never been able to be alive. You know, a lot of people are unfortunate, and it's like, I'm very thankful I get a shot at that comeback story, at the next chapter in my story.